Hello everyone, I'm your substitute teacher, Mr. Kimball. Today we're going to learn about why it's not the tumor. I promise you that's the worst the Arnold impression gets. It does get a little better from here. Hello everyone, welcome back to another installment of Home Media Reviews. This time around, we're talking Kindergarten Cop. Let's not waste any time, let's jump right into the history section of Kindergarten Cop. So Kindergarten Cop hit theaters on December 21st, 1990. We've finally left the 80s. Now we're in the 90s. On a budget of $20 million, this movie grossed $202 million. This thing was a gigantic smash hit at the box office. I didn't see this movie in theaters. I wasn't alive in 1990. The first time I saw Kindergarten Cop was last year, actually. I've been a fan of the boutique label Kino Lorber for a few years now. I buy a lot of their stuff, particularly during their big summer and winter sales. I think it was during either their summer or one of their fall sales, Kindergarten Cop was put on sale for, I think, $19 Kino Lorber 4Ks are typically about $35 to $40, so that was a huge steal. And like many things that I end up purchasing on Blu-ray or 4K, they sit on the shelf for 3 to 4 months before I finally get around to watching them. But I'll never forget the first time I watched this movie, because if you guys watched my Q&A answers video from last year, I shot that when I was watching a family friend's cat. Her name is Cookie. And I think the same night I shot that answers video, I watched Kindergarten Cop for the very first time, and Cookie watched it with me. She laid in my lap throughout the entire thing. She's such a sweet girl. I remember really enjoying it at the time, and I remember the Kino Lorber 4K was stupendous. It blew me away first time I saw it. Less than a year later, on June 6, 1991, Kindergarten Cop hit VHS for the first time. You'll find that a lot of these releases use the same poster here, Arnold with all the kids around him. There's not really a lot of variety when it comes to the home video artwork for this film. Case in point, the Laserdisc version of Kindergarten Cop uses very similar poster art, if not the exact same artwork. And it came out a week after the VHS on June 13th, 1991. Why they didn't go ahead and push this out a week early to coincide with the VHS, or why they didn't hold the VHS for a week to coincide with the Laserdisc, I don't know. I wasn't an executive at Universal back then. But you better hope you picked up that Laserdisc in 91, because this was your only opportunity. There are no reprints or reissues of this. It only came out in 91. The DVD, however, hit on January 20th, 1998. Again, very similar, if not exact same poster art here. An early DVD release, though, I think the format was only about 2 years old at this time. Something that puzzles me, though, is the VHS re-release. This came out on November 10th, 1998. It was part of the Comedy Greats line. That part doesn't confuse me. The fact that this came out after the DVD release, that's what confuses me. I guess Universal, while being a trailblazer and putting this out on the latest and greatest format at the time, they also wanted to give people who still owned VCRs a chance to pick it up. Because DVD didn't immediately take over the market in the 90s. It took a couple years for it to finally gain some headway over VHS. It wasn't until the early 2000s where VHS's days were looking to be numbered. And for a film that grossed over $200 million at the box office, the releases of it just kind of stop after 98. It wouldn't be until August 26, 2008, 10 years after the VHS reprint, that you could pick up a new copy of Kindergarten Cop. And it wasn't even by itself, it was in a multi-pack. The Arnold Schwarzenegger Comedy Favorites Collection, to be exact. This includes, of course, Kindergarten Cop, Twins, and Junior. I've heard weird things about Twins. I've never seen it. I'm interested in it, though. I wonder how they justify Arnold and Danny DeVito being, quote, twins. I bet that's part of the comedy there. And Junior, I haven't heard anything about. I just know the poster, it's like Arnold's pregnant or something. I have no idea what Junior is. If you didn't pick that up, 5 years later, on May 29, 2013, you got another chance to pick up Kindergarten Cop in another multi-pack. It's a family comedy quadruple feature DVD set. The listing for this over on Blu-ray.com says that this was a Best Buy exclusive. I'm assuming it was found mostly in their bargain bins over there. If you remember back when I covered Pulp Fiction, I think back in season 2 of the show, if I'm correct, we talked about a very similar 3-pack, although it was themed to Tarantino. It had poster art that was very similar to this family comedy quadruple pack, and that I picked up at Best Buy in the bargain bin. This quadruple set included Kindergarten Cop, Problem Child, Kicking and Screaming, and Major Payne. Of those other 3 films, I've heard of Major Payne. I don't know anything about it, though. Never heard of Kicking and Screaming, and Problem Child, the most I know about that is there's an AC/DC song called that. I'm a problem child. Yeah, I'm a problem child. If you hated multi-packs, you only had to wait a little over a year to finally get your hands on the Blu-ray of Kindergarten Cop. This came out on July 1st, 2014. And this Blu-ray just kind of feels like here it is. I've not heard great things about this Blu-ray transfer. I've heard people talk about it as it feels like Universal just took the DVD, upscaled it to 1080p, slapped it onto a Blu-ray disc, and said, here you go. May 10th, 2016 brings us a Kindergarten Cop 2 DVD set. That's right, there's a Kindergarten Cop 2 starring Dolph Lundgren, which I think came out in like 2015 or something like that. Correct me if I'm wrong. I'm willing to bet this is a Universal 1440 production. That's Universal's like kind of shithouse studio where they just make sequels to old movies and cash in on people's nostalgia for them. They're the bastards that made Doom Annihilation and wasted 90 minutes of my life. Yeah, I don't have good things to say about Universal 1440 Productions because all they do is make shit. January 15th, 2019 brings us a reprint of the Blu-ray. I'm not sure if it uses the same master. I'm 90% sure that it does. We finally reached the magnum opus for Kindergarten Cop. On January 23rd, 2014, Kindergarten Cop hit 4K with a brand new master. Released through the boutique label Kino Lorber on license from Universal. And as I said previously, this 4K transfer blows me out of the water. It looks so good. And since they remastered it for 4K, you get a 1080p version of it on the Blu-ray disc, so now the Blu-ray has been fixed. We'll talk about the special features during the close-up section, but there's not a lot here to really dig into. But that, folks, brings us to the end of the history section. Let's move right along to the close-up. Alrighty, everyone. Here's your close-up look at Kindergarten Cop. Yes, I will be doing that throughout the entire video. Thank you for asking. Before we look at this slipcover in depth, I just want to mention, yes, there is some discoloration on this. When I first got this, I was very excited, and I accidentally, I think, spilled I spilled coffee on this or something, and it did stain the slipcover ever so slightly. The slipcover's still intact, though. Kino Lorber slips are way better than anything that you'd get from, like, Universal or Paramount or some other studio like that, but it did stain the slipcover, unfortunately. But it doesn't take away from the fact that Kindergarten Cop is an awesome comedy. And yes, this is the Kino Lorber 4K. So we've got 4K Ultra HD plus Blu-ray. Is this the first time we've covered something from Kino Lorber on home media reviews? Someone let me know in the comments. Schwarzenegger written in crayon. There's Arnold surrounded by a bunch of children because he's a kindergarten cop. And then there's Kindergarten Cop down there. Ivan Reitman film. He's an undercover cop. He's in a class by himself. I need to work on my Arnold impression. It's not great. The spine, Kino Lorber Studio Classics up there. The film's logo. 4K, Ultra HD logo, Blu-ray logo, and then the product number. The back is going to look very similar to any other Kino Lorber 4K or Blu-ray you get with a slipcover. You've got 2 screenshots, a blurb talking about the movie, as well as some text specs up there. Brand new HDR Dolby Vision Master from a 4K scan of the 35mm original camera negative. And I'm jumping ahead here, but I just want to say the 4K of this looks spectacular. Just want to put that out there. Special features breakdown there at the bottom. Not a lot, just some audio commentaries and a theatrical trailer. And then we've got some tech specs, as well as some cast and crew information. If we take off our slip cover there underneath, poster art is exactly the same. The spine is similar, except now Kindergarten Cop is written in a generic font. And then the back is the same as the slipcover. And as far as Kino Lorber discs go, they don't really do disc artwork. They just kind of do this generic little Kino Lorber Studio Classics artwork here with the film's title there. There's the Blu-ray, and there's the 4K. Kino probably could do disc art. I feel like they'd be really good at it, but the logos that we get here, they're uniform. It fits their style. I'm a little bit more lenient on no disc art for Kino. So that's your close-up. Let's move right along to the menu tour. All right, folks, here's your menu tour for the Kindergarten Cop. Well, it's a pretty stock standard menu, though. Just a rearrangement of the poster art used on the front of the 4K. You got play, bonus, subtitles, and audio. Oh, wait. No scene selection here. That's different. Let's take a look at your bonus features first. We have an audio commentary from film historians Alexandra Heller-Nicholas and Josh Nelson, and another audio commentary from another film historian, Sam Dahan. No audio commentary from the director, though. We got a trailer for Kindergarten Cop, a trailer for Face Off, a trailer for Hard Target, 2 Days in the Valley trailer for Ronin, Stone Cold, Bird on a Wire, Out of Sight, The Usual Suspects, and Mystery Men. Pretty sure all of these films that have trailers here, Kino Lorber also has the rights to put out on Blu-ray and 4K. No featurettes about the making of the movie, just those audio commentaries and a crap ton of trailers. Subtitles aren't much better. You can only turn English on or off for subtitles. Okay, do we have some audio mixes? A 5.1 mix and a 2.0 mix. I'm assuming those are just for English. Okay, folks, this is a first in HMR history. The Kindergarten Cop 4K is apparently very particular about what player you use. I tried this in both my Xbox One and my PS4. Neither of them wanted to play this disc. Lucky for me, though, I have a Samsung 4K player that I keep upstairs in the office that I had to then bring downstairs to the living room here where I'm shooting these menu tours. Finally, this disc decided to work. I don't know if that's a thing with all Kino Lorber 4Ks, but just be aware of that if you're going to pick up Kindergarten Cop after this HMR is over, because, spoiler alert, I might recommend this. But all that work, all that testing, all that frustration for a menu that doesn't look any different than the Blu-ray. You're just missing an option. You have play, audio, and subtitles. For audio, we have a 5.1 master audio mix and a 2.0 mix, same as on the Blu-ray. You do get the audio commentaries from all three of the film historians, so that's fun. And your subtitles are just English again. The only difference between the 4K and the Blu-ray is those trailers. But folks, that wraps things up here for your menu tour. Let's go ahead and head on back and answer the 5 main questions as always. Alright folks, we're back from the close-up. Now it's time to answer the 5 main questions as always. Number 1, where can you pick this product up? I haven't really searched for a VHS copy of Kindergarten Cop, so I don't know specifically if a lot of them are available at like flea markets and stuff like that. I haven't searched on eBay to see if many of them are up there. Definitely haven't searched for the Laserdisc. But if you want a DVD of it, or if you want like a multi-pack version or a Blu-ray release, you definitely can find it on online retailers. I think that the 4K is still in stock over on Kino Lorber. You won't get it with a slipcover, but at least you'll get the movie in watchable quality. Number 2, is this product still being printed nowadays? I'm gonna say yes to this actually, because Kino Lorber keeps their stuff in stock for as long as they've got the license to it. Kino Lorber stuff very rarely sells out. As long as they've got the license to keep producing something on a physical disc, they will do it. However, if you want your 4Ks or your Blu-rays to have slipcovers, you need to get them early, because the versions with slipcovers, those do sell out. Kino doesn't keep slipcovers in stock for a lot of their stuff. Once the first batch is gone, they just reprint it without a slipcover. I get it for cost reasons, sucks as a collector, but hey, at least you're still getting the film. Number 3, should you pick this product up? When I first started watching this and it's going through the opening credits, I noticed that Ivan Reitman, director of Ghostbusters, directed this. Totally forgot about that. If I had remembered that, though, we would have covered this directly after Ghostbusters. Oh boy, my first notes of criticism. Hate to be that guy, but when Danny the Informant gets shot, silencers don't work like that. There's no scenario where a silencer makes a gunshot sound completely quiet. It just can't happen. There's too much force there. It's one of the reasons that John Wick Chapter 2, that scene in the subway, frustrates me to no end. I do like how Danny pronounces Oregon. Oregon. Oh, excuse me, I forgot to introduce myself. I'm Detective John Kimball, and I love my car. What an introduction to Arnold Schwarzenegger in this movie with that shotgun and the calm demeanor. I've always been an Arnold guy. The dude can't act great, but it's always fun to watch him in anything. Even the absolute tragedies that are End of Days and Raw Deal. End of Days is a guilty pleasure for me just because of Kevin Pollak's performance, but oh god, Raw Deal. That movie is the epitome of VHS schlock. For a movie that has the comedic scenario of a cop teaching a kindergarten class, it starts off with some pretty rough stuff. Kimball meeting up with Cindy in what's basically a strip club. There's Danny getting murdered in cold blood. The movie doesn't start with comedy, but it sucks you in with that light dramatic stuff. Third movie this season where I discovered a Seinfeld alumni. The boss that gives Kimball the assignment is the wheelchair salesman who sells George and Kramer on the Cougar 9000 in season 4 of Seinfeld.
It's our best model, the Cougar 9000. It's the Rolls-Royce of wheelchairs. This is like you're almost glad to be handicapped.
The thing that gets Arnold into the classroom is food poisoning. Didn't see that one coming, but hey, we needed a reason to get him into the class. The second we get into the kindergarten class, that's when the comedy starts in full force. Did she die? No, she went to go and see someone. Well, did they die? Everyone dies, you know. I'm a sucker for kids saying stuff like that. It's hilarious. Boys have a penis. Girls have a vagina. The scenes that follow with Arnold trying to be a teacher, leaving the kids alone, the chaos that ensues, it's all really funny. His scream, "Shut up!" is legendary for a reason. I can't scream it loud here because my wife is asleep in the bedroom right across the hall. It was a perfect way to get them all under control using that ferret. Hey, second Seinfeld alumni in this movie, Susan is one of the gossiping teachers. You might know her from such memorable moments in Seinfeld, such as being vomited on by Kramer in this scene.
Kramer, are you drinking that milk? Yeah. What's the expiration date on that? September 3rd. The 3rd?
The 3rd?
I really like Arnold with the actress that plays Joyce. I can tell she's really into him. Not so much with him, though. Like I said, Arnold can't act that great. But Joyce is making up for his slack. Movie shifts from comedy to sappy real quick after John learns to basically treat the kids like soldiers. The montage of the kids becoming close with Arnold was genuinely sweet, And the moment he shares with Joyce's son was so nice. It lets us get to know John on a deeper level. I'm using John and Arnold interchangeably here. John is Arnold, in case you didn't understand that. The date scene was also really sweet. I love seeing Arnold interact with Joyce's son. I was about to say that the guessing game about who the villain's son is was kind of intriguing, but in retrospect, it's fairly obvious. The red flag of Zach and his mom kind of threw me off, but the second has confirmed that Zach's dad is just beating him and that's why they're uncomfortable with authority figures, ding, 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 ding. Obviously, Dominic is Crisp's son. Crisp is the villain in this film, played by Richard Tyson, and he doesn't make much of an impression on me. He's like generic evil guy. He plays his role pretty well. He's not in the movie much. He spends a lot of it locked up. He's really only in the beginning and the end. But he's supposed to be like this looming force throughout the whole movie. I didn't really get that. It didn't really translate well on screen. I'd argue a more villainous presence in Kindergarten Cop is Zach's dad when he starts beating up on his kid and Arnold runs over to confront him. I'm completely on Arnold's side when he corners Zach's dad. You don't hit kids, especially in public, and especially hard enough to leave bruises. That's just unacceptable. Where's Dominic? Oh, he's on a pony. He's fine. I don't think that line was supposed to be funny, but it killed me the way Arnold delivered it. He's on a pony. He's fine. He's just hanging out. Another sweet moment with Arnold and Dominic close to the end of the movie where Dominic gets stuck on that radio antenna thing. I was just trying to get the lasers ready. Kid's a really good actor. I want to give him proper credit. That's Joseph Cousins as Dominic. We had a fire drill earlier in the film, and just like the classic rule of screenwriting, if you put a gun on the wall in the first act, it must go off by the third. And hey, the fire drill that was set up in the first act comes back in the third. That's what I call good writing. And I love how the kids save the affair. Dominic keeps them all safe in his shirt. Thank you. Thank you, kids, for treating animals like ferrets with respect. Climax is pretty slow to start. It doesn't pick up until Joyce gets back into the school and Crisp starts beating up on her. Tense standoff in the locker room, though. And the ferret is the one that saves the day. Now I want one. Can someone send me a donation so I can get a ferret? And send me another donation so I can buy a house to put the ferret in? Because we don't have room here. We got another cameo here to talk about. It's not a Seinfeld alumni. It's the Louisville Slugger Bat Company. It's a Louisville Slugger bat. It's used by Phoebe, played by Pamela Reed, who is Arnold's partner, who gets the food poisoning and is actually supposed to be the teacher. It's used by her to beat up on Crisp's mom. Love seeing my hometown represented here. I actually work not too far away from the Bat Factory, so it's pretty cool to see that here. There's another thing about the villains, too. Crisp's mom is apparently the one that's motivating him to do this. I never really understood that motivation. Why is his mom the one that's pure evil here? I don't know. I don't know. The villain stuff didn't really work much for me. Kindergarten Cop, though, is one of those comedies that not only makes you laugh, but it makes you feel something. You don't have a heart if you don't feel a giant wave of happiness when Arnold gets back from the hospital and all of the kids are swooning around him and he picks up Joyce, he gives her a big old kiss in the middle of the classroom. How can you feel nothing during that scene? Despite a villain whose name I didn't even mention until my last few notes because he's pretty weak and ultimately doesn't amount to anything, there's so much to like about Kindergarten Cop, comedic-wise. The kids' performances are all great. The romance between Arnold and Penelope Ann Miller, who plays Joyce, it's just a really funny movie that does take a little bit to get started with the comedy. The dramatic stuff, it sucks me in at the beginning, but towards the end it just doesn't work because I don't see Crisp as a very intelligent or engaging villain. And I definitely don't see his mom as one either. That just makes no sense to me why she's in this film. Yeah, I recommend Kindergarten Cop. Despite the villain problems, there's a reason that these iconic lines are quoted to no end. It's not a tumor, shut up, all that stuff. It's all great. Not only that, but I have to mention this again, the Kino Lorber 4K transfer. amazing. If you watch this film, watch that 4K transfer. It's the only way to see it. Number 4, where should you pick this product up? Well, same answers as number 1. And number 5, what price should you pay? Well, depending on if there's a Kino Lorber sale going on right now, and if Kindergarten Cop is available in that sale, I'd say the 4K without a slipcover is worth about $30. That's a little under what Kino Lorber are charging for it, but hey, it's been out for about a year now, so it's probably going to be included in quite a few more sales. Pick it up while you still can. When it comes to the other Blu-rays, though, I haven't seen these pop up a lot in like secondary retail stores, so I wouldn't go any higher than $10, maybe $15 for an original Blu-ray release. And I'm not going to give you prices on a DVD or a Laserdisc or a VHS. I don't see those pop up enough on the secondary market to be able to give you a market price for them. Well, folks, that wraps things up for the HMR on Kindergarten Cop. This one, my opinion, kind of shifted a little bit. I remember the first time I saw it, I didn't really recognize the villain issues. I just had a really good time while watching it, but now for the second time I'm more critical. Yeah, the villain doesn't work here, but there's a lot more to like. I do have some bad news for you folks regarding the next episode of HMR. There's not going to be one next week. If you've been around here for quite a while, you know I always take Memorial Day and Labor Day off, so this should be no surprise to you. However, in 2 weeks, we'll be back with an all-new episode. And what's that episode going to be on, you ask? Well, to tell you, first I have to satiate my craving here. I gotta get some White Castle in my stomach, and I think I'm going to call up my 2 buddies, Harold and Kumar, to go with me. That's right, folks. 2 weeks from now, we're going to be talking about the classic, in quotation marks, stoner comedy, Harold and Kumar Go to White Castle. I will see you all in 2 weeks. Thank you for watching. Have a wonderful Labor Day. And as always, good night, everybody.